श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं वातरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारो अन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So we are in the Kaṭha Upaniṣad, second chapter, first section, 15th shloka, which we already saw in the last class. But we are going to recap again for the continuity. Lord Death reveals the secret of an individual, the secret of this creation, the secret of the connection with the cosmic and the individual. All these things are revealed by Lord Death from different standpoints. Here, in this 15th verse of this second chapter, first section, he, not 15, I think, 14, it should be 14. Yes, 14, which we already saw, 14. In this, the perception of difference is pointed out with its faults, with its defects. The perception of duality or the perception of difference, which is carried right from the birth. Those mistakes in my perception towards the world and people, that can make us to reach a wrong destination. A human birth is a special birth. One needs to know its importance, and one needs to put effort to the respective goal. Anybody who is not aware of the goal and who is not aware of the importance of a human birth will pursue according to the perception right from the birth. Natural instincts. The change in the conviction or realization happens in the mind. After knowing the reality about oneself, a person will reach the proper destination. If a person misses the reality to realize, he will fall as a prey in this death and birth cycle. So realization is important for a human being in this birth itself. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, in his doctrines, Mokham Parthasa Jivati. One who is centered on his selfish motives and one who lives according to the natural instincts, always centered on making money, always centered on material comforts, always centered on body, mind, sense, complex awareness. This person will go through one birth to another birth again and again. Only realization about oneself can help to put an end for this grief, going from one birth to another birth. That is been pointed out by this verse. I will read, which we have already saw in the last class, as a recap. Yatha utagam durke vrishtam parvateshu vitavati evam dharman pratak pashyan taneva anudhavati. Just as rainwater from the higher altitude place flows looking downwards and disappears without touching the bottom, disperse itself. Similarly, without knowing the importance of human birth and its specific destination, one may pursue in the world with an mistaken vision, seeing different things from oneself. Perception of difference, or we can say perception of duality. Seeing something other than me is called duality, dualistic perception. There are different things around me, and I have to seek happiness by accomplishing different things which are right in front of me, which can be obtained through different actions. So I involve in different action, making money, and I buy, and my comfort is being gained through a secondary thing. So by these impressions, every subject which made happy will give an impression, and this impression is being kept inside the mind. these impressions will be carried when we depart from this body and we gain another body in order to fulfill the desires according to the impressions which are left over. So once we think ourselves that we are separate from the things and from the world, like I have a body and there are other bodies, there are other animals, there are inert things also. When we perceive something with our eyes and when we listen something with our ears, we call it direct perception, which is true. Direct perception is not complete real in my life if I say certain examples. Sunrise, a stock example. Due to the phenomenon of the world, the earth and its rotation and revolution, whatever it may be, we can see sun rising in the east. And we know that there is no movement for the sun. But we see sunrise, but we see sunset, and we enjoy. Even though we perceive with our eyes that rising of a sun in a beach, we enjoy that. But we know the reality that there is no such phenomenon called sunrise or sunset after studying the science regarding the sun, regarding the solar system. All we perceive is a rising of a sun, but which has no base of reality. Similarly, when we put a stick inside the water vertically, we see half portion of the stick is inside the water. Half portion of the stick is outside the water, which we will hold with our hand. We can see there is a bend in the stick. In reality, there is no such bend in the stick. So perception is not completely real. We call this in traditional teaching a word called avichara siddham. Conclusions because of the perception, but not by thinking. Just I see, so I conclude myself. I didn't apply any logic or I didn't think properly before I conclude. Non-thinking, a conclusion made of non-thinking, without any applying any logic behind that phenomenon, what I see, or I think an object, whatever it may be. This is called avichara siddham. Without thinking whether it is real or unreal, I just conclude this is true. The difference, perception of the difference is avichara siddham. From the childhood, I got happiness from a secondary thing. I conclude myself, happiness is in external things. I have to accomplish different things in my life in order to become happy. Avichara siddham. I make a conclusion without thinking or without having a proper guidance based upon authentic text. I just think myself. Direct perception of different things in the world, what I see right from my birth, all these things are true. And they are separate from me. If this vision is going to continue without any correction by a traditional teacher based upon the Indian scriptures, this will take us to a wrong destination. What is that wrong destination? Which is that wrong destination? It is told, Taneva Anudhavati. He or she will reach in another body after departing from this current body. Taneva. They will reach to another body after departing from the body, this current body. It means after death, they will take a birth in a different body, which is not a desirable goal. Just because of our wrong understanding about the world and people, we are subject to grief. We are subject to different types of pain by taking different death and birth. If the vision is corrected, all these things, what I perceive in this world, they are mere names and forms. Only it is there when I perceive the reality behind every names and forms. Each and every name and form is one single consciousness. And that consciousness is me. This is the correct vision. Once we are ready to take this vision in our life, if we are ready to give up our mistakes, then for them, what will be the result? Which destination they will reach? If they get the proper vision regarding the world, the creation, the God, and the connection with the God, with the individual, If they get the correct vision, if they know that I am this all-pervading consciousness, what they will get, which result they will get. This is going to say in the next verse, which is the 15th verse. I will read and I will give you the meaning. Yata udagam shuddhe shuddhamasiktam tadrgeva bhavati evam munir vijanataha atma bhavati gautama. I will read once more. Yatha udagam shuddhe shuddhamasiktam tadrgeva bhavati evam munir vijanataha atma bhavati gautama. What will be the result? One who have the vision of oneness, that one thing is the locus of every name and form. There is no such thing called name and form. If we do a proper inquiry on any name and form, there is only one thing which already Lord Death told to Nachiketas, which is beyond your perception, that all-pervading consciousness, which is a formless, attributeless, and without any distinction. There is no limiting adjuncts for that consciousness. This being the reality, one should know in a proper way from a guru, a traditional teacher, with a lot of commitment. One should live also, correcting the mistakes. And here it is told, what will be the result of a person who got the vision? Yatha, just as udagam, a clean pure water, when it is poured to another big amount of clean water, asiktam, they become one. It becomes one. Even though one glass of pure water, which is separate, there is a big body of clean pure water separate from this one glass of pure water. When we pour this water to that big body of water, they become one. Similarly, this is an example given by the Lord Death. In the last verse, when a person is not clear about the vision which is told by the scriptures, they will reach in a wrong destination, it is told. Here, it is told when a person who has the vision, after the realization of the reality, even though it is a small sentence, realization of the truth, it needs a deliberate attempt. One needs to push oneself to the classes of Advaita philosophy, non-dualistic perception, which is being disclosed by the traditional teachers. Without a deliberate attempt, our habits, our mistaken vision will not be corrected. One needs to put a deliberate effort There is no stumbling upon the reality. All the traditional teachers used to say a correction will only happen when somebody points out you. Up to that, we think ourselves we are correct. We are doing proper in our life because we follow the society. Society is busy behind money, behind the job, behind the marriage, behind buying lands, behind buying homes. Totally, they want to secure themselves. Mostly, we can conclude selfish motives, self-centered ideas. We are not against anybody's effort of making some money. The point is that's not the priority of a human being. That's not the priority of a human birth. Topmost priority of a human being as an individual, they should revise their priorities. It only happens when somebody is there to guide us. A realization of the truth will only happen when somebody helps you in the form of a teacher. There should be a proper guidance to see the truth of oneself in order to remove all kinds of insecurities, in order to remove all kinds of fear pertaining to this body and mind, in order to remove all kinds of fear while living in this world. For that realization of truth, for the realization, one needs to put a deliberate attempt to be in front of a guru and listen about the reality. By knowing, one will be free. How by knowing one will be free? That sentence need bit logical clarification. After knowing, one will be free from this world. So knowing means after realizing. So bondages, limitations are due to not knowing, means ignorance. I am having limitations. I am subject to unhappy. I am subject to sorrow. All these sentences are due to one's own ignorance. That I am a limited living being. I have a date of birth and I have a date of death, and my body is going through different types of modifications. I am growing, my hairs are getting gray, I am feeling tired. People are not worried about my happiness. Family members are not being cared about myself. All these insecurities will be making me more and more inferior. These are all due to ignorance about oneself. For the removal of the ignorance, one need to put a deliberate attempt. There is no stumbling upon the reality. One needs to put an attempt to know who am I. That attempt will make somebody to reach under a proper teacher. From there, one may realize, one may not realize. It's only a chance of 50-50. When the readiness is there, everything will fall under proper place. When the readiness is not there, in spite of all the attempts of the traditional teacher, one will be missing the obvious. So readiness, in order to receive this knowledge about the reality about oneself, that can only help the person to receive the knowledge properly. And here it is told, I already mentioned you, by knowing one will be free. Without knowing, one will feel I am in trouble. I have limitations. A mistaken identity will always feel insecurity. What is the mistake which I committed already? I am this body with a lot of limitations. I am this much height. I born in a particular country. My skin is in this color. My organs are in this way. All these feelings make one feel insecure. This insecurity will be guiding us, and we will try to improve ourselves, which we call another samsara. I am not satisfied with my current situation, and I want to change my current situation, and I will try to modify oneself. From the standpoint of body, any modification is not going to give complete happiness in one's life. This being the truth, we need to know something which is not subject to any kind of modification is the truth of the body. And that truth is being covered or obstructed by my feelings, by my wrong notions. These are the real obstacles in receiving the truth about oneself. The feelings about oneself pertaining to the body are the obstacles in the vision of the truth. Even though it is obvious, it is all pervading. So, realization or the knowledge is the cause for the liberation. Jnanat eva kaivalyam. Mere knowledge can give the total liberation, free from all bondages. This sentence we need to know properly. When a knowledge can give me the total freedom, it means that my bondage is due to an error or due to a mistake. I am already free, but I consider myself, but I took myself due to error or mistake that I am not free. I am going through different responsibilities. I am having bondages. I am having limitations. All these thoughts are due to error. When I am already free, due to my mistake, I thought myself that I am not free. Ever free Atman Nitya Muktaha I am. Eternal freedom. It cannot be any kind of bondages in one's life. No bondages at all from the standpoint of reality. Nitya Muktaha, totally free, a formless entity cannot be subject to any kind of bondages. It's not possible at all. I being that, I took myself other than this entity, that I am this body, I am this mind, I am in a society, I am in a family, I have responsibilities, I am a married person. This is my husband, this is my children, this is my father. Something which is not subject to birth, something which is not subject to death, is being considered as I got a birth. This is called mistake, erroneous notion, mistaken identity about oneself. These mistakes are the real obstacles for knowing the reality. There the Upanishad says, knowledge alone is the direct means for the emancipation, for the liberation. How? Ignorance being the cause for all bondages, ignorance being the cause for all kinds of limitations, ignorance being the cause for all kind of my miseries. In order to eradicate the ignorance, knowledge is the remedy. Whenever ignorance comes into picture, the one and only remedy for the ignorance is real knowledge about a thing. Just we will have that example, a stock example, which we often come across. In a dark room, a rope is there. Not knowing that there is a rope, I entered inside the room and I stepped on it. And I got the features of the snake and I ran away outside. Shouted, there is a snake inside the room, please help me. I am sweating. I am totally out, disturbed now, whether it has bitten me. And I run outside and there is a shivering. All these things we can account to miseries of the life. Not knowing something, I will go through different types of miseries. They are my Santata Sahajari, coexisting always with my body. Each and every moment, some misery will be there. I am subject to sad and sorrow. Predominantly, I am unhappy with this body. Sometimes I feel some happiness in my life. But predominantly, I am unhappy. Why? My guiding factor is I am this body due to ignorance. Like that, the cause for my fear, the cause for my misery is the raw snake conception in my mind. Taking granted, not knowing there is a rope inside the room. I consider myself a mistake being committed, that there is a snake inside the room. That snake bitten me or not? I have to check myself. Anyway, I stepped upon that. All the way I am unhappy now. Due to what? Due to the ignorance. Not knowing that there is a rope inside. It is a rope. When I come to know the reality about the thing which I stepped, the knowledge will remove all my miseries. At the moment I come to know that the rope is the real factor inside the room, that moment itself, the snake factor will go away from my mind. Will go away from my mind. As long as I don't know there is a rope inside the room, this will be my guiding factor. There is a snake. So knowledge will cause liberation. Knowledge will be the factor for free from all kinds of griefs. How? Taking away all kinds of mistakes which are born out of the ignorance. Ignorant about what? Ignorance about oneself. So here, water, a pure water, let us take that glass of pure water is the individual. And the big body of water, which is also pure, let us take as the all-pervading Brahman. When we pour the pure water, they become one. Before also they are one only. We need not to pour. From the standpoint of water, there is no two waters. We don't have that type of sentence. Literally, there is no way of pronouncing two waters. We say water. Ocean is water. Lake is water. A pond is water. Everywhere water only. Even though the glass with pure water is separate from the big body of water, they are one and the same. Not knowing I am the water, this glass of water feel insecure. But the second sentence says that, Evam, if somebody comes to know, how they will realize? It's a very big thing, deliberate attempt to study the reality. This is why Guru comes into picture. Guru means traditional teacher. Without a proper guidance, a person will miss the obvious. Gukaro anthakaro vai rukarastan nivartakaha. Anthakara nirodhitvat gururitya vidiyate. one who dispels the darkness about the reality, one who takes away the darkness regarding one's own real nature. Because of this action, he is called Guru. Guru. He will throw light upon the reality. At the same time, he will take away all kinds of obstacles about the reality. So he is called Guru. A traditional teacher is called Guru. Without the Guru's blessing, without a traditional teacher's advice, like Nachiketas got now from the Lord Death, there is no proper way of understanding the reality. And what about people by birth? They are unique, like Ramana Maharshi in Arunachalam. Some divine mothers, whatever it may be. Why? What about them? They don't have any guru. They have already passed out in the last birth itself, studying under a proper guru. Due to some prarabdha, they took again a human birth, but without dealing with any kind of worldly interactions. By birth, they got the vision, which they have studied under a guru previous birth itself. So they stay tuned with the vision. Thus, some people are without guru, even though they have gone through the traditional studies in the previous birth itself. So, commitment for the teaching is very much important. Without that, erroneous notions cannot be taken away in one's life. Because, for example, this class is once in a week. We have worldly interaction rest of the time in a week, which will be predominant in our mind. Worldly interaction. Why? Most of the time we are interacting with the people, we are interacting with our mobile, we are interacting with the TV channels. So that will be guiding us. Once we commit for the teachings, that will help us to see the reality and making more ourselves get engaged with the teachings will help the person to be always with this vision. In the second sentence, how this example is connected in one's life. Evam, in this manner, Munehe. Muni means sage. A person who always remember the vision, who always think about the vision inside. Muni. Mananashilatvad Muni. Always contemplating on the vision continuously is called Muni. Mananashila. Manana, contemplation. Remembering. Whatever we have listened from the traditional teacher about the scriptures and about the reality about oneself, again and again go through the topic from a book, or nowadays technology has developed, everything is available in social medias like YouTube, Facebook, etc. If there is any doubt, again and again going through the same topic and keeping the mind in one and only subject matter, In olden days, after listening to the Guru, the person will go away and sit under a tree alone and think about the teachings received from the Guru. This is called Mananam, and he is called Muni. Without the teaching, there is no remembering, correct? A mistake need not to be remembered. It will come spontaneously, whatever we are doing right from the childhood. But an advice, in order to correct ourselves, we need to think again and again. Assimilating the knowledge by thinking with the mind again and again. And I become oneself with this knowledge. Now, the knowledge is not in my intellectual part, it is myself, owning the knowledge, what I have listened. It takes bit time from the standpoint of an ordinary person. If the person is completely ready, it will not take more time to get assimilated. So here it is told, Munihi Mananashilatva, a person after listening, Shravanam, he goes to think again and again about the vision. That person, Munehe Vijanataha, Vijanam, Vijanataha, one who got the realization, one who came to know the reality. I always mention a course of time called 20 years. It is a general rule. In our tradition, in order to get anything mastery, to become a master in anything, one should go continuously 12 years in anything. Whether it is in yoga, or whether it is in cooking, or whether it is in Vedanta. Whole day you used to know the reality. Then only one will become completely a master in the teaching or in the cooking, anything. So this is a general rule. Suppose a person already gone through these topics in the earlier births, in the previous births, that person may not, that person is not needed to engage 12 years in the same topic. Just a spark is enough to become a forest fire. One advice of a guru, make the person to remember all the things he has gone through. Thus, a person is enlightened. So, Vijanataha means an enlightened one who remembers the vision in each and every moment. What is the vision? The Jiva, the individual, and the all-pervading Lord, they are one and the same. There is no such division. They are one and the same. The unity about oneself. Even though names and forms are there, away from me, apart from me, they are not real. The locus, the substratum of each and every name and form are one and the same. The substratum is one and the same. Thus, this vision, getting from the traditional teachers by the help of scriptures, this person is listening or remembering the entire vision inside the mind and got enlightened, and the outlook is changed now. First, the outlook was different, that I am separate from what I see. We are all separate. Everything have its own destination. I am this body. I have to be engaged with an action. And through action, I have to seek happiness from different things outside in the world. My outlook was like this: material happiness. For that, I have to seek different things. But now the vision has changed. The whole behavior is changed now. This person is completely introverted now. There is no pressure to seek different things outside because the happiness originates from me. The eternal happiness is from my locus, which I am. This enlightened person will become the Atma. O pleased one, Gautama. Nachiketas is called here in the name of Gautama. Gautama means, oh pleased one, oh dear one, pleasing dear. One who got this vision will be different from the others, and he's an enlightened one or she's an enlightened one. He becomes one with the eternal Atman. Even though they are not separate before also, before coming to study traditional teachings, they are not separate. After studying also, they came to know they are not separate from the all-pervading Atman. They are one and the same. In the past also, there is no division. In the present also, there is no division. In the future also, there is no division. Everything is one and the same Atman. And here in Bhashya, there is a beautiful way of ending the first section of the chapter. Shankara says that Tasmad Kudarkika Veda Drishtim Nastika Kudrishtim Cha Ijitva Tejitva, illogical thinking, giving up the all illogical thinking that I am an individual, I am separate from this world, is called illogical thinking. For others, it is the logical thinking. When you don't study the scriptures, this is the logical way of approaching the world. I am separate from everybody. I have to earn money for my happiness. It's logic. But here Shankara says, therefore, after getting the vision of oneness, one should give up all kinds of illogical thinking. What is the illogical thinking? Veda Drishti. Perception of difference. Perception of duality. One should give up. Nastika Kutrishtim Cha. Nastika. Non-believers of the Lord. We don't say Lord. In Vedanta, there is only one word called Brahman, the biggest, the all-pervading entity. Without a thing right in front of you, there is no superimposition. There is a condition for superimposition. The object should be evident. When I commit a mistake that there is a snake inside the room, rope is not seen by my eyes, but rope is evident to me somehow. I stepped upon that rope. Similarly, how we can prove the entity which is all pervading? In order to superimpose, there is a body. There should be something evident to me. This is the condition. Without something, there is no superimposition. This entity is called Brahman, the biggest. So, every time in the world, there will be non-believers of God. They are materialist. They just go what is seen, what is listened, what is heard, what is directly perceived. Those things only they believe. For them, we are not going to argue, we are not going to discuss any matters, because something which is attributeless, something which is a formless, something which is limitless, it's only meant for the blessed people, not for the people who deny themselves. When they deny the Lord, they deny themselves. Their existence is being denied. So Shankara says here, Tasmad kutarkika veda drishtim nastika kudrishtim cha ijjitva madru pidru sahasrepyaha api hiteshana vedopanishtam atma ekatva darshanam shanta darpai ataraniyam iti arthaha. It means that we are going to conclude. When there are thousands of supporters like fathers and mothers for an individual, that much well-being is considered for us by the Shruti. A strength of 1,000 mothers, a strength of 1,000 fathers, that much strength our Shruti has to support us. That much support is given by the Shruti means traditional scriptures. The scriptures are considered as 1,000 mothers, Shruti Mata. If suppose, imagine, there are 1,000 people to support me in the place of father. There are 1,000 people who are well-wishers in the place of, in the status of mother. Like that, my well-wisher with the full strength is my scriptures. Their scriptures want me to guide in the proper way. Thus, I have to reach my proper destination. Like that, one should respect and mark their gratitude towards these traditional teachings by surrendering their ego, by reducing their ego, because the traditional scriptures are guiding in each and every individual like mother and father guiding the child. So one need to put a lot of respect, one need to mark a lot of respect and gratitude for the traditional teachings, because nobody will support like this for an individual to take care from the fear and the security. Thus, we end the first section of the second chapter of the Kaṭha Upaniṣad. Now, I will give the meaning once more what we have gone through. Like one glass of pure water, when it poured to another big body of pure water, they become one. They get united. Similarly, after getting this traditional knowledge from the Guru, a person who is Muni, who is remembering the whole ideas and vision, who is an enlightened one, will become the self which is eternal in this world by realization. Before realization also, the person is self, but due to ignorance, he was behaving as a human body. But after realization, he started to behave that I am all-pervading Brahman. O Gautama, O dear one, this is the message to you. Etat Vaitat, it is going to say in the next verse. So we will conclude here. We will come to the next verse, second chapter, second section, first one in the coming class. I will read the verse and I will stop now. पुरम् एकादशद्वारम् अचस्य अवक्रचेतसः अनुष्ठाय न शोचति विमुक्तश्च विमुच्यते एतत् वै तत्. We will see the whole meaning and we will go to the explanation in the coming class. Om Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahisha Gobrahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshadu Parjanyah Prithvi Sasya Shalini Deshoyam Kshoparahitah Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaah Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शांति शांति. हरि ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम.